this recording, we're starting off with Morris and his conversation about a beginner's toolbox. So, Morris, take away.
Okay, no problem. Like I didn't do this with sock puppets. Anyway, so there are a lot of people on Facebook with questions on equipment to buy, how to get started in the hobby. And people are suggesting, go buy red caps, go buy thousands of dollars of equipment. And a few of us were asked, tell them, go see your astrophotography group locally, go talk to somebody, see what they've got. Because people are interested in the hobby, but they don't want to invest thousands of dollars in equipment. And this hobby has a habit of what I call GAS, gear acquisition syndrome. You go buy a lot of equipment, you get frustrated because it's not a quick fix. It's not like going down to your hobby store and buying a model railroad train set and laying it out and seeing the train chug around, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. It takes time to develop the art and the practice of astrophotography. So why not start them out simple? And I'm going to share, let's see if I can get this document up and share my screen. And can everybody see that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So what I did was 2 phases. One, basically introducing them to the hobby. So they start out slow and inexpensively. Okay. Equipment, what you need to get started. Basic astrophotography terms. Okay. Film versus digital. Cell phones. Okay. Used or new equipment and where to purchase. DSLs, type of DSLs, fixed lens, type of mounts to use, and whether trackers if you want to spend that kind of money. Okay, setting up the equipment, astrophotography apps, exposure times, zooms, f ratios, focusing using the mask, ISOs. And I was just typing it out. It's not a complete list.
Mm-hmm.
Shootings, stacking, single exposure, star tracking, calibration, light frames, dark frames, bias frames, flat frames, light pollution, and software. And then once they go through this and understand what's involved with the hobby and everything else, then we can take the next phase and take them to the telescope. Okay? Without throwing a lot onto them. It's just basic baby steps.
Right.
Because this way they don't put a lot of money into the equipment. They can we can mentor them, help them out. Even if they just one-on-one, go out and meet them for a cup of coffee. Take them out on a dark night, help them out, set them up, and encourage them on into the hobby. Okay? Because there's places where you can get good equipment cheap enough and spend less than $150. Okay? Now, everybody see this?
Yes.
Everybody see this?
No.
Huh? Okay, let me stop sharing my screen. All right, can everybody see this?
Okay. Yes.
All right, how much do you think I spent for it?
Couple $100, probably.
What's the highest you think I spent for it?
Well, depends on what it was.
It's
It could
a
be, it could be $1,500.
Nikon or Canon or Sony.
it's a Canon 20D with a 300 f.5 5.6 lens.
Okay.
What is that chip size?
Huh?
What is the chip size? APS-C?
You said
Off the top of my head, I
20D,
don't
right?
know.
If
Just
it's
give me a
an
ballpark
B,
figure.
right?
If it's an APS-C new, that would be about $400 to $500. If it's a full frame, that'd be about $4,000.
Probably APC.
Okay.
All right, because I've been playing with it. Anyway, I spent about $60 on it.
Mhm.
because I went used, and this through,
Yep.
and I'm going to share my screen again because I found a camera company that's reliable. $29 for the camera, and I mean $24 for the camera and $29 for the lens.
Yep, it's a 20D. It's old technology, but it still takes pictures.
Yeah, and it works. And it comes in the camera, and they ship the camera with a battery and a charger.
Yeah.
All right.
So it's a way to introduce them into the hobby without spending a lot of money. So they get frustrated. They're not out a lot. And all we're out is time.
And it's not a dedicated camera to just astrophotography.
Right. They can use it for family events, things like this. So what are your thoughts? Because we got a ton of material, not just on our website, but it's out there that we can use and bring in and put it into folders.
Yeah, I think
And
it's a
use.
good idea. You know, we can put up like a rule of 300
Mm-hmm.
its page.
Yep.
And it's a rule of 500 if you got a full frame.
Yeah.
And then yeah, just any like article how to take pictures of star trails. What should your ISO be at when you're taking pictures of the Milky Way? That type of thing. That's what you're saying, right?
Yeah, because Celestron, Astronomy, Sky and Telescope all have free articles. All we have to do is just credit the source,
Mhm.
reference the source. We can just dump them into folders. We have YouTube videos on our webpage, okay, that I can alter and make it down to an MP4.
Mhm.
So we've got tons of information. Why not put into one source and help somebody out? And if we mentor, we can give somebody phone numbers where they can reach out. They got questions and help out.
Can you share your screen again so we can look at that document?
Sure. Like I said, this is just a rough copy because I know you guys will go through it and add things to it or subtract things to it, but it's just a basic. It's a basic outline.
Yeah.
So what are you specifically asking us to do?
Just look at it. Give me your ideas, your thoughts. You guys are more experienced than I am. I've been doing this for a couple years. I've been playing with it. You guys, some of you guys, I don't want to mention age, have been doing this longer than I have. Okay. So I'm looking for you guys to see where you want to add more stuff or subtract stuff.
This is Freddie's expertise right here.
Can you scroll so we can see past number 6?
Sure. There's nothing past number 6.
Oh, okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
For a physics instructor, yeah, there's nothing past number 6. But it was a rough outline. I don't want it to be a formal syllabus, but it's just, like I said, it's just a rough outline. I can put the information together. We can do the folders. And we can be there and we can give them the information they need.
Mhm.
And go over if they don't understand a question. Because remember, there's no such thing as a stupid question, except the one not asked.
I don't see anything about polar alignment or making sure your mount is tracking well.
Okay, see, that's the things I'm talking about. Thank you, Ann.
I had mentioned to you earlier that on software, you Fix Insights seems to be the
Yeah, there's tons of software, so yeah.
main focus also on the. Okay, are you asking us to take this and get it back to you? I mean, I'm
Yeah. Look at Merrill's got a copy of it. You can email it to the group. Look at it, abuse it, mark it up, see what you want to add to it, and I'll start working on it. and start adding things to to a folder and putting that stuff together, and you guys can look at it.
So what would the end product look like?
The end product would be like for setup equipment and astrophotography apps, a list of apps with links
So
and the instruction manuals. Huh?
somebody brand new would click on film versus digital, and you'll have
An,
information.
an explanation why digital is better than film, with the with the graininess with film compared to using digital.
If you don't like it, throw it away, take
Like
it
the
again.
ability to stack. Yeah, is the big one.
Yeah.
Well, and I know we all love PixInsight. I think it's a wonderful product, but it's also expensive compared to things like, you know, if you look at GIMP and some of the other freeware out there for stacking. There's just options out there that may approach the same methodology as the camera itself, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, you want to get in, you're probably going to buy the more expensive stuff later, but you don't start there. There's options.
Yeah, like Deep Sky Stacker, and that's what you're talking about, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Deep Sky,
We can help
AutoStacker,
Morris.
A few of the others.
We can help Morris with the list of software for sure.
So I'm not sure what APT software is, but I know that Nina is more for controlling your equipment rather than editing.
Yeah,
Like I said,
probably
just-
sections for kind of post-processing versus, capture and
Yeah, under shooting, I would put, software like Nina or PhD guiding, whatever people use. And then for editing or post-processing would be Photoshop and PixInsight and whatever else is out there. Dark,
Yeah.
Deep Sky Stacker or whatever. I hear that a lot.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. I always pull them out of there. I don't do much editing there anymore.
Mhm.
I do a lot more in GIMP than I do there.
But if Meryl can send this out and you guys can just, let me know and just let me know and send it back to me, I would appreciate it. And I'll start.
So,
putting-
So what do you want to do with
together.
this? You want to curate this, right? You're going to compile all the information, organize it, and present it in a way to where if somebody new comes along, we can give them these links. Are you thinking put it on a web page?
I don't know. That'll be up to the group, but I can organize. I'll take control. I can handle the project
Okay.
and take charge of it and keep it up to date. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the website.
You can
Great
web page it, you can PDF it, lots of things.
Yeah. So we on the Mathbits page, we can put a little photo logo of whatever we want to call this project. You click on it, and there's going to be a bunch of stuff there.
Okay, I do have this exact outline here. So what you're looking for is input. What are the main topics? And then after each main topic, what can we add to flesh it out?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you're going to collect all this and then summarize it and have links and everything that I think a good place is the website. That way people can, refer to it easily and probably easy to update. Would you think, Steve?
Yeah, and we should probably think in terms of beginner, intermediate, and expert as well when we're compiling this stuff,
That's a good idea.
so that we separate. And we need to write a blurb saying, "Hey, don't jump into this thing with $15,000. Here's $40 here's a $40 solution."
While we have everyone here, maybe we could talk about 3A, where it says film versus digital. I don't know anybody who uses film. Is
Not
that
anymore.
an
It's
important-
becoming prohibitively expensive, and that's one of the. I think we could even knock that one out because
that was my suggestion. Is I don't think we need that section. It's
Yeah,
just
laws
confuse
is
people more.
right. Laws of supply and demand are such that the people who want to stay in film, they can barely afford it anymore.
Gotcha.
So, but if there are other items like that, we just mark them out and send them to you. And
Yes, sir.
Okay, and what kind of time frame are you thinking about doing this?
I'm working on it as we talk. So
Well, okay,
what free time I get, I'm working on it as I travel, as I work.
This would be a great collaboration tool site thing, you know? But yeah, okay. I'm assuming the website doesn't really do that.
No, we don't do that at all.
Yeah.
Not yet. That's what Morse is here for.
okay, and okay, maybe I should phrase it differently. When would you like to have this complete? End of the year type of thing, or
I'm looking to get the basics done by the end of the year.
okay, that's helpful. Any other questions before we move on to something else?
Are you going to
This
post the
is-
document out there so we can grab a copy and use that kind of as a backdrop?
I think what I probably ought to do is put it on the Slack channel.
Yep. Wherever we can get to it, you know?
Okay, because I mean yeah, I don't think we have put it on MailChimp to everybody. I could
No.
so I would put it on the Slack channel, and that way you can download it and mark it up. And Morse is on the channel, and so you can feed it to him that way.
But does everybody think this is a good idea?
Yes.
Oh yeah, it'd be a
Yes.
valuable service
Thumbs up.
to give to newcomers.
We get asked these questions all the time. This may be a really good go-to source.
And we all started at 0.
At some point in time, some longer ago than others, as Morris points out.
Yes. Yeah, we don't talk about that.
Okay. Morris, we got you started here. I'll send out the outline to the Slack channel. Maybe.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Maybe I'll put it. How about if I put it under general? And as you think of things, add to it, send it to Morris, and go from there. Okay, as we started the meeting, I talked about the other topic that was on the future agenda items was a discussion of guiding between ASIair and a PhD. Plus some interest over the last 2 meetings on that, as I wrote down, kept my notes. So, Steve, you use ASIair guiding?
Yeah, quite a bit.
And who uses PhD? Does Brent?
I do. I use
Okay.
PhD too.
And maybe
I do too when I'm
Yep.
not using the ASI.
Yep, I do.
Okay, well, maybe we just have a conversation, and maybe there's some ahas that, as we talk about it, that somebody may learn something from that conversation, because this gets recorded and people can refer back to it. And so, okay, if you wouldn't mind, Steve, what you want to just start off and say how do you do it, and what equipment you use, and et cetera.
Okay. So does anybody know what PhD stands for?
Yes.
Push here, dummy.
Yeah, exactly.
Enviano.
The whole idea is for it to be seamless. Oh, don't worry, it's all easy. You just push here and you're ready to roll, which is kind of true, but kind of not. Okay, so ASIair uses the open source program PhD, just like on the PC, you use PhD 2. What ASIair does differently is they took a lot of features away. So the whole idea is to just make this easy as possible. Don't analyze your mount. Don't run periodic corrections. Just push the button. And it kind of works and it kind of doesn't. So with ASIair, I'm not going to show all these slides I have. I want to talk about 3 settings for ASIair that are critical. That the defaults are wrong for most people. So And you can really improve guiding if you do these 3 things. So I'm going to share now. I'm going to move on ahead to.
Yes, that one.
Okay, so when you go to the ASIair mount settings, the default is 0.5, but your mount may do better if it's 0.75 or even 0.25. So you have to do an analysis, and the way you do that is you set your aggressions to 50, which is done with these buttons here while you're guiding, and you just watch your graph, and you record what your error is right here. Do you see my arrow? Is that working?
Yes.
Yes.
And so that is that for me, when I did that, I improved my guiding 0.7 seconds, which is huge. So the difference is just immense. So people need to.
And what are you trying to accomplish with the 50% and 50%?
Good. You put these on. You just want both axes to be the same.
It's how hard it tries to correct.
Right.
It's the aggression.
Exactly right. So you just for this particular step, when you're trying to figure out your guide speed, you want to put these on 50 so they're consistent. And then you hit the clear button right here, and you just watch the whole length of the graph, and then you record that error. Then you go back to that setting. Where do I have it? Then you go back and you just try all 4 of them. So you do that one first. You let it go the whole way, and then I keep on forgetting. I'm coming. There we go. You let it go the whole way. When it gets here, you look at your error, and I found significant improvement when I went to 0.75 instead of the default of 0.5. Okay, so that's setting 1. So there's another setting that's default that's probably wrong.
Yes, that.
Okay.
Well, I never known. I left it at 2000 because I didn't know what it was.
Okay, so these 2 settings here, leave at 2000 is my advice to you, unless it's really windy. If it's really windy, it tends to overcorrect. Everything overcorrects because this camera saying, "What is going on here?" So and I move these down to 1,000 on a windy day, and since I'm OAG, sometimes I'm down to 500. And when you move these down, you just watch the guiding for about a minute or 2 to just see how you're doing.
So this is why you're imaging.
This is while it could be what, yeah, that's it. With ASIair, the subs are already happening. You're seeing them, but you can move over here and do some tweaks.
Well, the reason why I ask is it says calibration. Do you do calibration to start out with?
Yeah, I do. But these two items here really aren't calibration, so I don't know why they put them.
That is the width of the pulse for guiding.
Right.
In the time in the past, when you had ST4, it was a relay, and that is the time the relay was active. In this case, it sends a pulse to the mount and say, "Hey, I'm guiding 2,000 milliseconds east." So it will the mount will take that into consideration when it corrects.
Exactly right.
So
I'm going to give you another setting, this calibration step. Now, this calibration step most definitely is wrong on your defaults. And believe it or not, even with all this stuff not correct, it still guides. But your errors will be higher. So everything's working, but you'll just be a bit off. So I'm just trying to teach you how to hone in.
Yep.
So if you're an OAG, there's kind of a rule of thumb here. See if I can find that. Yeah. Here's a video of what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to show you this is the setting. So if my calibration is taking 15, 20
Too long.
steps, yeah, you want 4 or 5 steps for your calibration. And if you're even less or 2 or more, then there's a problem, and your guiding will not be that good that night if you just take these steps. And I just so you look, I just want you to see what this looks like. So this is sped up quite a bit.
That is the calibration.
Yeah. So we got the guide stars, and you're going to, when I hit play, you're going to see west step 2 and the distance.
It measures how much it moved, which is a step. East,
Exactly right.
west, north, and south.
Right. So it's doing a west, east, and just doing a north and a south. So let's just watch it for a while. So there's 5 steps. So that's fine. If that was 6 or 7, you go back and you go back to that setting I just showed you and go up or down with it.
That is one of the features of PhD. In the past, when you were going to guide, in the past of astrophotography with digital cameras, you had webcams and you were guiding with a webcam, and you had to align the webcam with the axis of the telescope. If not, your guiding will be bad.
Right.
PhD uses a calibration where it sees on the CCD of the camera each step on each of the axes, where does the star moves, and then it set up its axis, and he knows what is the difference between the movement of the star and the movement on the real axis. And that's one of the great things of PhD, and that is a calibration.
Yes. And it's good to have Freddie here because he knows how to do both. He knows the PC side and the ASIair side. So, and I do want to talk about one other thing that will really help us. First of all, exposure. So if the seeing is really bad, I was having trouble. I'm capturing a bunch of it's in the southern sky, the Lagoon Nebula. And all of a sudden I was getting really good guiding. Most of the night I was getting between 1 and minus 0.1, and even between minus 0.5 and 0.5, which is good guiding seconds. And all of a sudden, it just went haywire. My guiding errors were going up to 4. So what I did, and if this happens to anybody else, is I increased my exposure from 2 seconds to 3 seconds.
So you don't chase the scene.
Right. So because the seeing was fine when I started, and it wasn't bad, and that's why it's a good idea to kind of check on your guiding every once in a while, see what your error is, and then increase your exposure by certain amounts. This is your error right here.
Steve, just does everybody understand what the terms he's using around like seeing and all these terms you're using? If you're not, ask the question.
Yes.
Yeah. I will make a statement about seeing. If you've ever looked at the moon with your telescope and it looked like there was water, like a wavy sensation when you did that, there's some atmospheric seeing there. That's what happens to the stars. They're actually
twinkling.
They have the illusion of changing their size because of atmospheric aberrations. So it's small, then it gets fat, then it's small again, then it gets fat, and it's constant all night. So that PhD does a really good job figuring out where your center blob is, even though it's getting bad images on some of the frames it's taking. And that's what really helps. Go ahead.
So once you've set your telescope on the 75% or for the guiding, I guess in the other.
Yeah. If it's your
options of 25, 50, 75, or 100.
Yeah.
For the guiding. So once you determine which setting to go there by looking at the total RMS.
Right.
Then if you want to adjust the aggression above or below 50%, is that trying to watch the graph here and keep like all of the the little pulses, like the blue pulses, all on one side of the graph, or is it just trying to, if you see the blue or the red lines go above the 1 inch, you want to try to increase the aggressiveness so it will stay, try to stay below 1 inch.
Yeah. So
Saying it right?
let me see. That's the beauty of the discussion. I don't have to show you all these boring slides, so I'm going to go specifically to what Alan's talking about. So I will say this. So the red line. See how the deck is red?
Right.
That is the top of your mount. It is your telescope spinning. It's not the rotation of the Earth. So this line here is the deck, and then the blue is the right ascension, which is the rotation of the Earth. Now, interesting, even though this is the right ascension line, if you want to know if you're polar aligned, you don't even look at that. You look at deck.
Yes.
So what you need to do is the most important thing you do when you start guiding is look at your red line. And if your red line is like going above 2, chances are the seeing is really bad and you're just not going to have a good night anyways, or you probably did a bad polar alignment.
Yes.
Yeah, and my suggestion to you is to everybody is to just shut it down, restart it, get polar align again, and get going again, because it is your most important beginning measurement. Is that red line here? And
Okay.
you want, and then the blue line is every other problem you have. So the red line,
Balance of the mount,
yeah,
wind,
yes,
and well, the quality of the mount, of course.
exactly. Matter of fact, one thing I noticed about my mount, I got a Ioptron Sim 40, and it, I've since I've been looking at the guide graph, because while I'm doing 5-minute exposures, what else are you going to do? So I'm looking at the guide graph, and I'm noticing, I found out that my particular mount, and everybody's is different. I think Celestron's are like 10 minutes. My mount cycles through the entire gear structure or the belt structure in about 7 minutes. So about 4 minutes in, my guiding goes a little bit haywire. So all of a sudden it just kind of goes nuts because I'm having trouble with my gear, in that area of the mount where the gears are just not right there. And so now I've learned to just live with it, because the only thing you can do is send them back to the factory. But so now, guiding went weird for a couple of minutes. Then, okay, maybe I'm cycling, maybe it's cycling in that bad area of my mount. And maybe not, but
Okay.
So-
Can't you compensate that with
Go ahead.
PEC?
can't I what?
Can't you compensate that with PEC correction?
Oh, that's what I'm glad you brought that up, Merrill. Do not do that. So ASIair says, no, don't do that, because we're going to compete. Yeah. So they say, do not do any.
It will compete.
There's an expert I know, and I talked to him about it. These are guys I talk to regularly, and these guys are like, this is the brag screen of ASIair. If you like, who are the best of the best, right? And this guy right here is Blaine Corsell. He's a genius, and he's the one who's really set me straight on a lot of these issues. Peter Zelenka, excellent. Bob Waterfield has the exact same rig I have. So these, and TJ Conley is just cranking out amazing stuff with ASIair that is actually on, major websites like Optilong Filters, features a lot of his work, and he does everything. He guides and does everything in ASIair. So these people have told me.
Can I ask a clarifying question? So like what is competing? Is it the guiding is competing with the PEC of the mount itself? So
Right, it's competing against the mount. So ASIair wants to do one thing and the mount wants to do another.
Yes.
So does that go for like it's not just ASIair, it would be for any time you're doing guiding.
Any
PEC.
software, in general, if you don't have a permanent setup, it is better that don't play with the periodic error correction of the mount,
Yeah.
because every time you move the mount, it will change. Even changing the level of the mount, you always will have some kind of difference in level, and that changes the weight of the mount and the way it behaves. So unless you have a permanent setup, forget about the periodic error correction. If you have a permanent setup and your mount allows you to use PEG, then you can fine-tune PEG to a point where you don't need to guide anymore in right ascension.
Right. Yeah.
Mhm.
That's my frame of reference, and that's why
Yes.
I was troubled.
Yeah. So according to I actually asked a lot of that questions to Corcel, who if you see his work, it'll just boggle your mind. But he says that it can knock your guiding off 2 to 3 seconds.
Yep.
Which is totally, I mean, it'll destroy your stars.
Yeah.
So I just make sure I don't do it. I mean, I got a mount where I don't plug in the hand controller anyways. I don't need to plug the hand controller in.
If you use PhD, I think that the ASI also generates that. PhD generates a log file that then you can export, and there is an application that allows to analyze the periodic error of your mount, and it will tell you exactly what is going on.
Yeah, on the PC side, right?
On the PC side, but I think ASI generates the logs in
It
the
does.
same way of the other applications, so you can use the same app. If anyone is interested, let me know, and I can find the application that does that.
Okay, that'd be interesting actually. So I want to know, Freddie.
You wanna? Okay, let me look for it.
Okay. We'll talk later on Slack. And I do want to make a final point about ASIair and guiding in general. And this was a big epiphany for me. Is I told everybody get your deck right, and I think Alan had a question about.
Yeah, and like if you see that your RA or your deck is going above the 1 inch, would increasing the aggressiveness, that's what brings it down?
That's what you do. Yeah.
Okay.
So you look at these pulses and how strong they are and how frequently they are. So if aggression is too low, the trend line will drift away slowly either way.
Right.
Because the mount doesn't correct for your real error.
Right.
Correct.
And if aggression is too high, it'll cause the line to overshoot 0 all the time.
Which is the default.
Yeah, that's right. So you just got to find the balance, and it's there's some nights where I'm just not in the mood to do it. To be honest with you, I don't feel like dealing with it, and my stars are still round. So, depending on how. But if I know, okay, I need 10-minute exposures, I'm going to be all over guiding before I begin that process, and tweaking these settings. But I was going to make a very important point that I didn't know about is, so you get your deck, and say you got a perfect deck, and it is like between 0.3 and minus 0.3 seconds, and then your right ascension, so it means you got a perfect polar alignment pretty much. And then just say your right ascension is at 1 to 2, and you just can't get it better than 1 to 2. I mean, let's just say 1 to minus 1, and it's a good idea to actually make your deck worse to go, because what the main cause, I didn't know this, but one of the main causes of star stretch is these two numbers being different. The right ascension number needs to be very close to your declination number. So if I see a bunch of 0.7s and that's at 0.8, it'd behoove me to try to get this thing to 0.7 and not worry about getting it to 0. If I can't do that, then it would behoove me to actually make my guiding worse on the deck to get it to 0.8. So I thought that was interesting when somebody told that.
Yeah, remember this is a vectorial addition. So you have two axes, and then the resulting vector is a diagonal. So it can be higher than the sum of the two that you are seeing there.
Mhm.
Okay.
Wonder if that's something that can be like baked into the product in the future. I mean, if it's a person looking at it and trying to decide how to manipulate that numbers, I wonder if the tool itself could do that.
That would be fantastic. And you and I both know, Brent, that AI will eventually take over guiding. Somebody's going to develop an app and we'll pay for it. I mean, right now, PhD 2 is free and that's great. But what incentive do they have to make it better? Nobody's making any money at all doing it. So I think some type of AI, if somebody wrote, just like Russ Croman and his amazing Pix Insight scripts, that we're paying, $80 for whatever. If somebody's making money out of it, it's going to get better.
Yeah.
Just kind of the way it is. But I really, those are the I'm going to post this because it has all of the ASIair settings and some information about it. I'm going to post this on the Slack channel, but I didn't think it warranted a lengthy discussion.
So what's really interesting, and I guess I didn't realize it's using the same kind of open source PhD background, but every setting is also there in the PhD client. Like I pull it up and I'm able to look and I can see exactly on the home screen the exact same settings that you're talking about. So they are all the same in both locations. So I think all the data is the same. But it is interesting to learn the science behind it because it is easy to just press the button and like I've only ever changed one setting and it's that exposure time because Freddie told me to do it once upon a time. But I've literally never touched anything else. But learning the science behind it, now you can start to understand why you might touch one of the other ones. You don't have to, but there is science behind it that you can understand and kind of adjust.
Exactly.
Okay.
And Freddie, is it fair to say that if you're on the PC doing PhD 2, one of the advantages is that it does an analysis of your mount?
It can, yes, but you can just push here and let it guide. Okay.
Right, but if you do the analysis, is that data beneficial?
Well, it can help you to determine if you see, like you say, there is a period in your mount that the guiding is not good. It can allow it allows you to determine, okay, the problem is not seen because I can see that same error. It will give you a graph that you can make as big as you want, and they say, well, do 3 or 4 cycles of your worm in the case of worm mounts, or in the case of your bell, 2 or 3 cycles of your bell, and you can see if the error repeats. If the error repeats, then it's a problem with your mount, and you need to attack that.
Well, you can attack it if you're willing to unbolt it and
yeah, well, or send it to repair. Well, in the past with Celestron and Orion mounts, there was a guy that will hyper-tune your mount. They will disassemble the mount completely, polish all the surface because the old LXD 55s and the Celestron CG5 were mounts that didn't have bearings. The bearings were pieces of what is this metal? Bronze with aluminum. And in the factory, they just move it through the lathe and then put them together. They didn't polish anything. So this guy will disassemble your mount, polish everything, okay, and then grease and change some of the bearings. Some of the bearings are plastic, and he will use Teflon instead of plastic. So he will hyper-tune your mount, and your mount will be much, much better after that. In your case, well, you will have to send the mount to Optrom and fix it. Tell them, hey, look at this. This is the graph from PhD. And there it is.
Yeah.
You have a proof that this is working properly.
Yeah, I could demonstrate that pretty clearly, actually. But I'm still happy with it. I mean, I got decently round stars, even 5-minute exposures. So
yes.
is there an
Basic,
empiric-
remember, here is what makes you happy. If you are happy with the results you are getting, don't worry about that.
That's right.
Right. Somebody
Is
asked
there-
today on Facebook, well, what should I put my guide settings in ASIair on this group? And I try to pay forward because so many people have helped me. I showed you the list of some guys, amazing astrophotographers. And so what I said was, you set your settings where your stars are round. That's the most important
What
thing.
makes you happy? Yes.
That's right.
Is there an empirical way of saying stars around that part of this program, or
There is not, not with the ASIair, but I run things like you, Merrill, through Pix Insight that'll tell you your eccentricity.
eccentricity is what I would use.
Yeah, and what is a good number there, Merrill? Again,
I usually feel good at 0.3 to 0.4.
yeah. So those are pretty round stars when that happens.
Zero's a perfectly round star.
Yeah. So Merrill, if it's 0.3 or 0.4, is that the average of all the stars in the field, or is it?
I think that's what they do.
Okay.
I think mine has been 0.6 around that so far, plus or minus.
Yeah. Which Merrill, you'd say that's pretty good, wouldn't you?
Well, what I've read is that anything more than 0.6, you start to be able to see it and tell by looking at the image. If it's less than 0.6, you can, if you really zoomed in, you can see the movement.
Yeah.
And of course, it depends also on your focal length, the relation between the pixel
Right.
size and the focal length.
Oh yes, definitely the shorter the
Yeah, I
focal.
can see some eccentricity in the picture. Yeah, I just don't know yet if it's the guiding or if it's the telescope itself, something odd there, or
Well,
if it's the camera.
Like in the middle of your frame, is it round, but it gets worse on the edges, Alan?
I think it is that.
That is
It's
that
not-
the
it's-
flat, that is you need a
Not guiding.
flattener.
So that's an optical problem.
That's
So
not guiding.
yeah, you won't solve that with guiding.
Remember, the image from the telescope is not flat, it's curved. And if you are in a place where your CCD is too far from the focal plane, it will increase that difference. And the stars on the borders there's a circle. So the stars that will be in focus here on this part of the circle have to be here, so they will be out of focus. So in the center, they are okay, but in the rest of the circle, they are not.
I know
And-
Clay, I think Clay's on here. Yeah, Clay is dealing with that right now. I think he just posted some of his lagoon in our Slack channel, and you can see that pretty clearly. Some of the back focus challenges.
And I can see like on one side, I guess the right side, it looks more eccentric than the.
That may be that is not parallel.
Yeah, you probably got tilt going on there.
You have tilt because
got
of the
that
weight
issue
of the
with my
camera,
camera.
or your focuser may be not straight.
Yeah.
So you have to check that too.
Pix Insight has some pretty good tools. If you want to, they're scripts, not processes. I forget where they are, but there's like 2, 3, or 4 of them that check the corners and give you an image of what's going on.
Yeah.
So those are really nice.
I guess I'll have to find a guide of how to actually adjust.
Mhm. So does anybody have any questions about any ASIair settings before I stop sharing?
Well,
I've got one question.
Sure.
Is it normal for ASIair to recalibrate guiding every single night or when you switch targets?
Yeah. Do you tear down at night?
Yep.
You do?
If you turn down, you need to recalibrate every time. It's
Right.
better.
Okay.
And not
Yes.
only that, here's what I've just discovered recently, Devin, is when I'm flipping,
Mhm.
okay, so I have my aggression. I'm messing with my aggression, right? And have you ever done that with your ASIair guiding?
No, I was waiting for this all
Okay.
this to kind of figure out what to do.
Well, there's a downfall to it. Like I went to 0.8 on both axes, both the deck and I was at 0.5 and I crap. I probably didn't have a good polar line, and I'm too lazy to repolar line it, and also probably some bad seeing. So they're a bit off. Okay, so then I've noticed this past few nights because I've been I'm really trying to get a really good target here. I'm trying to get a lot of minutes on it, like you do, Devin.
Yes.
And when the flip occurs, my guiding is worse.
Mine too.
And it's really not supposed to, but I think it's because I've been messing with it. Like if I would have just left it at 50, it'd probably be okay. But see, I'm correcting north and I'm correcting east. And then everything turns upside down. You need to correct toward the south and toward the west.
You may have also flexing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you got to be
if
careful on the flip. So you know what I do? Do you do the same thing? I do. I just recalibrate now.
Yes,
what I've been
need better.
Yeah. Okay.
I think my ASIair just does its thing and it recalibrates when it needs to.
You can disable it, but it's better to leave it.
Yeah. I definitely need to
that
play around with these settings though, because my steps are usually between 15 to 22.
So that I think you're gonna get at least 0.2 seconds better guiding. A point. So I think you're going to see some improvement if you do that.
Awesome.
Yeah. And like I just learned, make sure your deck error is very similar to the right ascension error, and your stars will even be rounder.
Yeah, this was very helpful information here.
Now, so is this basically the same as PhD on a PC?
Yes.
It is the same open source. It's the exact same application. Matter of fact, if you saw on that chart, there was a lot of stars were circled because there's multi-star tracking now. And ASIair did that. They were in beta with that for a long time at PhD too, but ASIair saw it and they immediately went with it. And it was a good move because one thing that multi-star tracking did is, a lot of people are tracking hot pixels.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so when you're tracking multiple stars, it kind of helps prevent that problem. So that and it just makes it a little bit more accurate. You're guiding a little bit more accurate. But it is the exact same application programming.
I was going to share, since I've got it open on my PC outside for tonight, this is what it looks like on the PC version. And again, I've literally only ever opened it and changed my exposure, which could probably go up even higher, but I'm at 1.5 down here. But it's got all the same kind of configuration settings here that Steve pointed out. And then there's a lot more complex things you can do. Like I said, I think ASIair simplified it, but there's a lot of different things you can go in and do. Some of these, I don't know if you can do them, but like you can do comet tracking from PhD2 here. I assume you can do something similar in ASIair somehow. But there's a lot of settings in here that I don't mess with anything. It's, push here, dummy. I literally open it up, connect my equipment, and hit the start button, and that's pretty much it.
The reason of it. And you have on the bottom beside the slider for the gain, you have the brain, and there is where you can adjust a bunch of the parameters. Okay, about PhD. The developer says do not touch it unless you know what you are doing. So don't touch it.
Yeah,
that's right. Because I don't know what I'm doing.
That's the only other one I think I ever set, because you set the focal length
Exactly.
of the guide
Yes.
scope.
Well,
but everything
else that can be set on the profile.
Yeah, I don't think I did it here. I stay away from the brain. That's exactly what I try to do.
Okay.
Can you guide now?
I got my cap on. I think it's still too
Okay.
bright outside.
It's not dark.
Okay, I cannot see the.
No, it's not dark enough yet.
Okay.
Yeah, give it another 30 minutes, maybe.
One thing I didn't discuss is dithering, because I don't think we have the time.
Sure.
But there's going to be a lot of I got a lot of dithering information on this document I'm going to put on Slack when we're done. Those are really important settings. And if anybody here has a DSLR and if they're not dithering, that means they're going to get crap.
Yeah.
Dithering just really prevents this thing called walking noise, and you need to put high numbers there. So a good camera like Devon's, you put 1. For my camera, you put 2 or 3. For a DSLR, you need to be at 10 or 20.
Oh, wow.
And it'll be on the it'll be on my
Are you talking about pixels there?
yeah, I'm talking about pixels.
Oh, okay.
So this DSLR people, they literally need to move, and it moves it randomly.
So
And
you think I could set mine down to 1? I think I have
I
mine
really
at
do.
least
I think you could be
5.
at 1. Yeah, I think you could be at 1, and and everything will correct a lot quicker because you don't need to bounce around a whole lot.
I might try that.
And your recovery, I bet your recovery set at 10. And the other, I guarantee you'd be fine at 3 with your camera.
Okay.
And you might get 20 more exposures that night because I gave you this little insight.
Be awesome.
Yeah.
Now, I assume too, one other difference with the ASIair, they're locked into the rest of the ZWO landscape. So you have to use their ZWO guide cameras, right?
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, no, I don't think that's the case for cameras. I think you can actually set a DSLR up.
For guiding, yeah, you can, but you
if
will
you
kill
want.
it. You will keep the shutter.
That's right. So they do lock you out of their ecosystem for everything except for DSLRs.
Well, and I understand why. They want it to work. If they had to support QHY and other brands of cameras, then it's a support nightmare.
That's right.
Yeah.
They
Because they do
test with
support
their
mounts.
stuff and it works.
Their mount support is a nightmare for them because every mount does something different,
Exactly.
and they're trying to figure out, okay,
Yes.
they've had to update my mount.
By example, if you use a Celestron mount, you have to pre-align the mount so the ASI can communicate with the controller.
Right.
If you don't do that, it will never work.
Right.
So you have to fake alignment once in the Celestron when you start, and then it will work.
Right.
The
The
EQ
star line,
mode,
right? Brady, are you saying star line? You mean?
yes, you need to
Yeah.
do a one fake star alarm, something like that, So
Yeah, for an
the
eye-
mount
yeah.
think that is running, and then it will connect to the hand controller. On
Right.
the Orion mounts, you can use EQ mode, and it's much easier
Right.
because it talks directly to the motors on the mount.
Right.
So
I've never star aligned my Ioptron. You just don't have to do it.
No, Ioptron works without aligning.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
one of the Meet also works without alignment.
Yeah.
You can align after with the mount, and you can sync.
I've got an AVX. If I don't star line with that, it's a backup mount.
Yes,
I'm
it will
toast.
work.
I'll get guiding in around 10 seconds. And then when I see that, I said, "Oh, I'll just shift to planetary and take some video." All right.
So, Ann, aren't you glad you got a permanent mount?
Absolutely. I'm logged in right now. I just got my sky flats for the night. So yes, easy.
Yeah, I have used that. I mean, I used Maxim DL my entire career, and if there's the amount of settings is a whole lot different than, and it's I think it's more sophisticated internally. You basically calibrate a guide star on your chip, and then as long as you never move it again, you don't do anything for it, ever. And it's
And
just,
I have to thank Merrill. He spent a good 2 hours with me Friday night Zooming to help me learn how to guide with Maxim DL. So thank you.
you're welcome. I'm glad it's working. But this is something I learned years ago, and Maxim is in my opinion, a gold standard or gold whatever. It's good stuff, but it doesn't have anywhere near the thought process seems different. So I assume it's internally, and you don't even see it.
Wow.
Gotcha.
Now, some of us have plane wave mounts where guiding is like taboo. You just don't need to do it.
I haven't.
There's these things called encoders, right? So why do you need
I-
to guide if the mount knows where it is every second of every day?
I haven't guided for 2 years, and up to 15 minutes without any problem at all. But it's just part of the journey.
Mhm.
Okay, well, any other nuggets we want to share here?
This guy's looking good.
Yeah, it is. We can talk. I guess a couple questions. What Clay proposed to us several months ago is getting the big astronomical telescope or something to that effect. But us having a project, is anybody interested in doing that? I mean, we all pick the same target, and then somehow we figure out how to bring it all together. Kenmar is actually doing that with a group of, he's one of 16, and I don't know whether that's international or national, but it would be kind of a neat project if we would all say, hey, we want to take M51 or something, and then somehow figure out how to, marry the data to a really neat. So I don't know, is there any interest on that? We can make that a topic at the next meeting to figure out how would we do that, or
I'm definitely interested. I'm curious in the how it happens because I haven't
Yeah.
thought about it too much, but with all the different, cameras and scope sizes and all the other things, I'm curious the logistics on how you marry the data.
I think there's actually a script on Pix Insight because I was actually messaging someone on the Facebook group. He had M31 data and was looking for some HA, and I sent him my 18.5 hours, and he was able to incorporate my HA data into his M31.
wow.
What
So-
focal length? How different were the focal lengths?
Mine was 550 and his was, I want to say 135 millimeters.
Wow, that's a
Wow.
big.
I think that if you have the astrometric
Yeah.
calibration, you on the feed file, it can escalate,
Yep.
change the scale to whatever you need.
Yeah, Pix Insight does the whole thing. It's able to change scales to fit all the data together.
I think the
Okay, but
blends,
what does it choose? What does it choose? Does if anybody knows, does it does the wide field win, or does the close up the long focal length, does that
I
win?
think you decide what you want to do.
Oh,
Yeah.
I've never seen the routine, but if I were the designer, that's what I would do.
Yeah.
Let you choose which one.
Yeah.
Kenmar's agreed to educate us if we choose to do that. So why don't we put that on the next meeting topic?
Yep.
And it'd be a fun thing to do over a couple months period.
Yeah. What's a good late summer or early fall target? Those of you who've been taking pictures for years.
Orion.
Well, that's later.
That's pretty far down.
That's November, October, December.
I think we talked about in the past when it came up, maybe Triangulum.
That'd be good. Actually, I want to. I'm going after Triangulum as soon as we get that dark sky site up and running.
I'm doing the Tulip Nebula. Have you done that, Brent?
I have not.
SH2-101. It's kind of a neat. It looks like a tulip, and it is both wide. I think it's wide field and.
What about the rosette? Is that a target?
Well, yeah, that's a target too. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think we ought to, between now and next time we bring this up, just think about some options, because then once we agree on an option, Kenmar can help us think. Okay, how do we make sure we get the data together?
Mhm.
Somebody smarter than me needs to coordinate all these different focal lengths because.
Well, but there is a script in Pix Insight. Devin, you were talking about, but there's the blend script. I believe does that.
Yeah.
Is that after like you stacked your set and then you blend everybody's set, or is it like happening with the raw data?
Well, okay, here's my one experience. I had a target that was two different telescopes, and I just put them together and they were blended into one, and it did it all automatically. And it must take a looked at the fit centers and said, I need to grow it so much to match up the stars. And it was amazing, the added data. I mean, what it did to it. So I think the technology's at our fingertips if we want to. But I would suggest between now and next meeting, we come back with some targets. and make that a topic of conversation. That sound good, guys?
Sounds great.
Sounds good to me.
All right. Any other things we want to talk tonight, or everybody ready to go out and do some imaging? We've had so few clear skies.
Meryl, you're gonna bring up the possibility of like, do we like having a meeting every month or?
Yeah. I sometimes I feel we struggle to. Is this a good use of our time? And you guys are the customers of this group. And is it monthly too often, or? I mean, I'm willing to do whatever you want, but what do you all think?
I think monthly has been good for me.
Yeah.
Enjoy it.
I think I've only missed one in the past little bit, but they've been really good ones that I've been at. So I like monthly.
Well, it's so good just to hear the other perspectives. Freddie's brain that we can. That's how that works. And I mean,
That's right.
It's really neat to hear.
Really is.
You get in your
Thank you.
you get in your routines of doing this the way you always done it. Don't know why, but now you understand.
That describes me to a T. I know how to take the picture. I have no idea the science behind any of it,
Yeah.
but I know how to make sure the buttons work.
Yep.
I learn something every time I do one of these. Okay, so Steve and I were talking this afternoon, because I asked the question this morning about, okay, do we really want to talk guiding? And there wasn't a lot of responses. So
it was a critical discussion. I mean, I learned so much from Freddie alone and everybody.
This is a great.
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah.
Really
I think these are our best meetings, is when we just free flow.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was supposed to say is, even if we don't have a specific topic, getting together and just talking like this.
Okay. Well, we can always change. We'll plan on monthly for now, so the homework now is, I guess, twofold. We got Morris's project, but also think about a target or two that we can then come, and it's going to be a little bit different because I have a long focal length, and across the board of the people I'm looking at, they probably have the whole range from short to less short, but
Triangle would not be good for you, would it, Meryl? Triangular. You might get the core. You might get the core of triangulum.
I won't be coming back with that as my suggestion.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah. We'll have the best looking core of triangulum you've ever seen.
Okay, well, there's surely some that we can all do. So,
yeah.
And actually, Ann's got hers is even a longer focal length than mine. So,
3.5 meters, baby.
yeah, there you go.
Show off.
Mine's only 2.5.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I think it's something that she's got the best scope in the whole group. So we need to take advantage of it.
Mm.
And probably a new narrow band. That way it gives everybody, even the folks with light pollution, good opportunity. So, okay. Well, I'm going to say let's adjourn, and I will render this and have it on YouTube tomorrow probably, and go from there. Thank you all for.
I put the links for the PhD tools, and Keith also put some links too.